So this is an introductory session designed to get Quip and Salesforce admins started with Quip for Customer 360. I'm Tori, and I'm part of the Quip education team at Salesforce. And as a Quip product expert, my goal is really to get my key Quip knowledge to you so you can successfully launch Quip for Customer 360 and create standardization for your team. So I'm sure there are some of you on the line that know about Quip for Customer 360, some that are new, but really the goal of this session is we know as the Quip and Salesforce expert at your organization, your team is going to be looking to you as the Quip for Customer 360 Pro. So you'll leave today's session with the resources and community to start on the path to being that expert. And we're going to go through quite a lot, so let's just dive right in. But if you have questions as we go through, just add those questions in the question panel. We're going to save about 15 minutes at the end for Q&A, so we'll make sure we get all of those questions answered. And let's just dive right in. So this may not come as a surprise to any of you, but every Salesforce customer that I talk to tells me a really similar story. And that is, despite their investment in Salesforce, a lot of their really valuable data still lives outside of Salesforce. This is obviously not good. Data lives in emails, chat tools, documents, spreadsheets, various note-taking applications. And this makes it really hard for their teams to succeed. In fact, in a study, we found that about 66% of a sales rep's day is spent on non-selling activities like admin tasks, chasing information from their teammates, manual data entry. And making this problem worse is when data lives outside of Salesforce, then your team's process will follow. And teams find themselves with things like account plans, case escalations, and so many other processes living outside of Salesforce. So for some of you, some of these or many of these may sound familiar. So you hear your team saying, we feel like there really is no single source of truth, even though we have Salesforce, or our reps just aren't ramping fast enough. Or I hear this one a lot, every rep on my team, they're doing something a little bit differently. And so the question really becomes, how can you manage processes if they are living outside of Salesforce? Where is all of that unstructured data, where like call notes, where is it living? And if it's outside of Salesforce, how can you get Salesforce? So we're trying to imagine a world here where your reps can spend time selling and your agents can spend time helping your customers. So Quip is a very powerful tool when used inside of Salesforce because it creates a home for that unstructured data in your instance of CRM. So Salesforce has been the user's home for structured data, things like accounts, opportunities, record-specific information since the tool's inception. But what about that unstructured data? So unstructured data includes things like account plans, mutual close documents, or the conversations that take place around any given opportunity. So traditionally, this type of information didn't have a specific home in Salesforce aside from rich text fields, which are great when used properly, but they're not designed for robust formatting and they're definitely not designed for collaboration. That's where Quip for Customer 360 comes in. So essentially, Quip inside of Salesforce provides a home for unstructured and structured information to really come together to help users close deals and resolve cases faster, all within the context of Salesforce. Quip for Customer 360 is all about boosting productivity. With collaborative documents and chats that live right inside of Salesforce, we can really help your team to centralize your processes that have historically lived outside of Salesforce. So now that we've kind of talked about the why, let's actually walk through. The first step would be implementation. And I'd love to get an idea if you want to throw your answers in the chat just to see who's on the line today. If there are any of you that are already using Quip for Customer 360, throw an A in there. If you are not yet a Quip for Customer 360 user, go ahead and do B, or okay, it looks like we've got someone who's not yet using. Well, that is a great session for you regardless. Okay, awesome. Yay, we've got some new folks on the line. So we are definitely going to be walking through what does Quip for Customer 360 actually look like in the instance of CRM. Okay, excellent. So the first step would be implementation. And we are not going to go through the implementation process today, especially since there are a lot of folks who have not actually, don't actually have Quip for Customer 360 yet. But the idea is that we have step-by-step instructions. It's not a very complex integration. I mean, Quip is part of Salesforce after all. And we also have Quip support. So of course, if you do decide to start using Quip for Customer 360 and you run into any problems along the way, our support team is certainly there to help you out. The second part, once you have Quip and Salesforce connected, is you actually have to configure the components. So this is something that I'm sure all of you are very familiar with, but it's just the concept of going into the Lightning App Builder and adding the components there. And I can show you a little bit behind the scenes after we do our demo of what the components actually look like, so what this experience would be. So let's actually walk through the components themselves. Now I'm going to walk through this in my demo account from the lens of an account plan, but I just want to remind everyone, or actually tell everyone, that Quip for Customer 360 works on Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and Marketing Cloud. So while I'm going to be talking about this from a sales lens, please keep in mind all the features, functionalities that can be applied on whatever cloud you're using. So whatever would make the most sense for your team. Okay, so I'm in Salesforce. This all looks familiar to you. I'm sure you all have a completely customized and different setup on your accounts. But we're going to walk through the three components.
Sorry to interrupt you. Look like your screen is freeze and it's like partially PPT is visible to us.
Ooh, okay, so let me unshare and then I'll share again here. Let's see.
Yep.
Can you see Salesforce now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you so much for letting me know. That would not be interesting to just hear me talk about it and not actually see it yourself. So that's what we're here for. All right, so this right here is the Quip document component. And the Quip document component is a fully functioning Quip document that lives directly within Salesforce. These are our associated documents, so linked documents, and we'll get into that in just a minute. And then we have our Quip notifications set up here on the utility bar. So let's first start off with our Quip document component. So this is something that can be set up with a blank document. You could have your users just come in here. They can start from a blank page, start from scratch, but that's not what we recommend. The setup we recommend is something that looks like this, where you're using a Quip template so that you're guiding your team and you're creating standardization. So on that previous slide, when it felt like all my reps are doing something differently, this is part of moving that process into Salesforce. So they have a template, it lives in Salesforce. All they have to do, and even this is something that you can automate, is click New Document from Template. Now, before I do that, I want to expand this out so you can just get a sense of what are some of the key components of a successful Quip template. Let's see if my home and inner, yes, okay. So first off is we've got mail merge syntax here. So mail merge syntax is something that you can use all throughout the Quip template, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in templates later. And then I also have my Salesforce live apps set up in template mode. Now this is just a preview. We're going to dive into templates, but I just wanted you to see before I actually populated this on the record what it looked like before. So we'll click New Document from Template. That's going to populate this template onto my account plan component here. And keep in mind, I'm not on that Salesforce tower internet, so give it just a second to load up. Now, it lives within the page. I could start editing from here, but we have what you just saw, which is called expanded mode. So it doesn't change the functionality. It just gives me a bigger viewing space so that I can make edits and changes. So I like to expand this out if I'm going to be actually working on the document. So we're expanding this out. We can see my mail merge syntax populated with Tech Labs, which is the account name that we're on. So again, your team's not having to do this work manually. We've got we're pulling in here with our Salesforce Live app. So this is live tech labs, the account record information. So that's living directly within the document here. We're pulling in a Salesforce list. Again, this is live information. So whenever your team is coming back to this document and again, they're not having to worry about this data being stale. So this isn't a screenshot, this is live data being pulled in. Same thing with our report. So I'm pulling in a report of all the related opportunities. This is going to be updated consistently. So this is, again, live data being pulled in, which makes it really easy. So this for you to marry that unstructured and structured data. So that's what we were talking about before. Now, we're going to get into automation in a moment, but I'll just point out quickly that this document is shared with all 51 people on my sales team. So I can just dive in as the end user and I can start taking action. And this is automation that I set up using Process Builder, and we'll dive into that a little bit later. But I want to kind of walk you through a Quip document. If many of you, I imagine, are very, very familiar with Salesforce, but maybe have less exposure to Quip itself. So let's actually take a look. So this looks fairly familiar as your standard document, except for we have these live apps pulling in this live Salesforce information. But one of the key things about Quip is it's very, very collaborative. So like I said, all 51 people on my sales team, this is something I automated, have access to the document. Now I can go ahead and start collaborating straight from here. So maybe I added the account plan to the account page, but I don't actually have the information about the executive summary. So I can click in here and make a comment. Now, comments are really, really great for that granular conversation. Remember, we're talking about pulling the conversation about any given document onto the document itself. So I can, and there is the concept in Quip of @mentioning someone. So maybe Cindy is the person I know that needs to complete this. Now I can @mention her. So once I send this comment, she's going to get a notification and it will take her directly to this point on the page. So I can say, please complete this section before our meeting. And then I can send this off. Now, a couple of things are going to happen. Cindy got a notification. Now I can see up here in the top right, this means she's on the document. She's given me a thumbs up. So, okay, oh no, she's read this and she's let me know that she's on it. So you can see we can have this really quick back and forth. And what this might have looked like before Quip is, I sent her something through a separate chat message with a link to a document. Hey, on the second part of the document, go in and fill the executive summary, let me know. So it takes all of that conversation and the document outside of where you actually want to be working. But this is the reverse. It actually pulls you into where you want to be. Now, a couple of other things that I should highlight here. So number one is if Cindy has Salesforce access, she can view and edit this document and be part of this conversation. But she also can do so. Maybe Cindy's not even on our sales team. Maybe she doesn't have access to Salesforce. Maybe I need to collaborate on this document with someone on our product team or engineering. So Cindy actually has the ability, anyone who has a Quip license, I can share on this document and collaborate. And so it makes it really easy for folks to across different teams. And I know this is something that I talk to Salesforce admins a lot, is not everyone at all organizations has a Salesforce license. So this makes it where, okay, of course they can't access everything in Salesforce, but they can still view this entire account plan. They can view this data that we're pulling in from Salesforce so they can actually see what's the relevant information I need to know here to take action. The other thing that is important to point out is this creates incredible transparency for the team. So we're talking about this on the granular level of one person, maybe one salesperson to the other. What about the sales leader? I want to know, maybe Tech Labs is a really, really key account, and I want to make sure that everything is going along like it should. I can actually dive into this document and I have access as the sales leader, if I'm shared on this document, of course, where I can see this conversation. So I don't have to go to Tori and say, hey, who's completing this? Let me know the status. I can see right here, 2 minutes ago, they had an interaction and Cindy is the one who needs to take action. So it just creates this incredible transparency across the team, much less kind of pinging, looking for information, that kind of information digging that we were talking about that's taking away from your sales folks' time to actually be selling. So this is one part of the Quip document. The other collaborative piece is you can see we have this conversation pane here. So you can see who's been in the document and who's been making edits. And then we can also actually have a conversation directly here. So maybe comments are really great for that granularity. It takes Cindy right to the executive summary. But maybe I just want to let everyone on this document know. So an @everyone will send everyone here, who all of these 51 people, a notification. And I want to say, you know, please review and complete before Friday. So here we have everyone will get this notification and they know that there's something they need to do to take action. So this is saying, are you sure you want to send all these people a notification? Because this is kind of like a reply all to a massive spreadsheet, or sorry, to a massive distribution list. So just keep that in mind. We want to make sure folks are doing what they're doing, want to be doing. But now anyone who goes to this document, they got this notification, and now everyone can see here, okay, it's understood this needs to be reviewed by Friday, and they can come in, they can do reactions, etc. So it's just really creating this transparent environment, and I'm making all of these changes within Salesforce. So we have the ability to absolutely just build this out, and then when I'm done, I can close this out and continue working. So one of your goals is to pull folks to spend more time in the Salesforce platform itself. This is a really powerful way to do so. Next up is our associated documents component. So this is really more designed for our supporting documentation. Now, these are also fully functioning Quip documents. The real difference here is the Quip document component, it takes up a bunch of visual space on the page, as you can see here. So what's front and center, that document that your team is going to be coming back to again and again. We often see things like the account plan. It's a main document on this account versus the supporting documentation. So call notes, meeting notes, maybe related opportunities. This related records will pull in and give you the option to kind of directly link records that are related. But the really great thing is you can open these up and you can make edits and changes from here as well. So just like we were making changes, this is a fully functioning Quip document. So if I want to take call notes directly from Salesforce within my Quip document, I can pull in whatever account information again that I need with my live apps here. I can make these notes. And this is a little off topic, but I want to make sure that I that I show it here, that we actually have the functionality. So if I highlight this from within a Quip document, whether you're in Salesforce or whether you're just in the Quip platform itself, you actually have the ability to log a call in Salesforce and to log a new task. So I could say log a call here. I could add it to Tech Labs. You'll notice I didn't even have to copy and paste. All I did was copy here, or all I did was highlight that text and it automatically showed up here in the comments. And then, I could search if I wanted to, let's see I can't remember who's on this account. We can easily, add, if I know who my contact is, which I obviously would, and then I could save that here. So this will sync it directly back to Salesforce. So my activity is saved in Salesforce. And why I wanted to kind of go a little bit off topic here to show you this is call notes is one thing that I hear from Salesforce admins it is very hard to get into Salesforce because people they have all of these different note-taking applications. They're taking notes all over the place. And then sales leaders are complaining because they want all of that valuable data to live in Salesforce. So this makes it really easy to do so. Now, again, I can take action. I just logged that call. I can have a conversation. So in this example, just think if I want Penny, who's on the product team, to give me an update on a conversation we had about SSO in my call, I can just add her to the document and I can tag her straight from here. So I don't have to have some separate conversation in a chat channel where that data is lost. Now, when she responds with the update, it's going to live on my call notes, which is what I'm going to be referencing in the future and what lives in Salesforce. Now, one other thing to note about the associated documents component is this does not count against file storage. So if your team is running into your limits there, all Quip documents, they're not actually considered against your file storage. So that can be a helpful thing for some folks. And you can get things in an order that you want. Obviously, this can become a really long list. And then you can actually create, you can link a document that you had created in Quip before, or you can create a new document, new spreadsheet, new slides, all within Quip that will save here directly to your associated documents. And then last up here is our Quip notifications. So Quip notifications can live on the page as a component, and I'll show you that in just a second as well. But I wanted to, I like to always show this on the utility bar, because no matter what page I am on Salesforce, when something happens in Quip and I need to take action, then I get notified and I can see that right from here. So this will actually pop this open. So this is the interaction I just had with Cindy. And we can open this up, and then I could go ahead and I could, take additional action here. So I can follow up, what's the status on this? And then I can actually just close this out. So no matter what page I'm on, I can make edits. These documents don't even have to be in Salesforce. So this just really keeps me very connected with my team, ensures I don't miss anything, and is a really easy way to kind of stay on top of my notifications here. So I do hear, though, that folks, the utility bar, this can be very precious real estate when you're setting up the layout of Salesforce. So I do just want to show you, I have the notifications. For example, some people I see set this up on their homepage, like you can see here. You might set it up on the account page. Again, I do recommend it on the utility bar, but you have options here. Okay, I'm going to pause here to answer a couple of questions that I've seen come through the chat. So the first question, in order to revert your comments in summary, does Cindy open her Salesforce page? Okay, so for Cindy to have this conversation, she could do that one of two ways. One is, this could look, if I were Cindy, she would get a notification in her notifications pane just like this, and when she clicked on it, it would open up just like this in her instance of Salesforce. So no matter what page she's on in Salesforce, she would have this exact same view. Or maybe Cindy is not in Salesforce and she's in Quip. She could actually, when she opens it, it would open it in Quip. So I'll just show you what it looks like in Quip. Same document, it's just within the Quip platform. So if I were Cindy, I could come in here and I could have this conversation directly within the Quip platform. Next up, how would it work if I have separate sales and service org and I want the summary together? Okay, that's a really great question. So you can, the same document can live in more than one place. So this is a really unique thing about Quip, is you can have a link essentially where I could have this document living in Sales Cloud on my account plan, and I could have this document living in Service Cloud on a retro. It does not matter. I could have the same thing, and then my sales and service team could absolutely be working on the exact same document at the exact same time, collaborating back and forth. So it's a unique feature of Quip, and it makes it really easy for teams to work together. So I hope that answers your question. And again, if I'm answering these, but it's not quite getting at what you're asking, please go ahead and type in any sort of clarification, and I'm happy to clarify. And then the next question is, if a user doesn't have a Quip license and wants to collaborate, can they do it? So the answer to this one is no. In order to collaborate on a Quip document, you need to have a Quip license. So anyone within Salesforce that you would want to be on this account plan, viewing this account plan, any sort of oversight or collaboration that you want, they would need to have a Quip license. So that's a really good call out. It's a little bit interesting because in order to view the Quip document and view the Salesforce data that lives there, you don't need a Salesforce license. All you need is a Quip license, but the reverse isn't quite true. So if you're in Salesforce and you have a Salesforce license and you want to view a Quip document, you need to have a Quip license. Okay, so that is an overview of Quip within Salesforce. Now I want to go through, let me swipe back over here and let me know if that freezes up again, and talk a little bit about automation. So we've hinted at it a bit where I said we added people to the document automatically, but there is a lot that you can do with automation within Quip. So this is really the way that you're going to be able to streamline those workflows, that you're going to be able to bring that uniform experience, and that you can really create a community. You can see collaboration is very easy, but automating things, taking away that manual work, is what is going to make your team very happy. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Quip templates. So Quip templates, we have actually a library. So let's dive into that library and then take a look at a template itself and sort of walk through what are the features and functionalities that make it unique and that are going to help bring standardization for your team. So I'm swiping back over here. I have my Quip template library open. And I'm going to ping out a resource to everyone at the end of this call with links. So everything that I talk about today, I will send you a document that has all of the links to every resource that we go over. So any instructions or pages that we're on. So this is our Quip template library. And as I scroll through here, you can see we've got a bunch of places where other customers are already finding success within sales, work.com, service, marketing. So I'm sure wherever you all fall, you're kind of finding yourself here. We have specifics for manufacturing, financial services, etc. So you can see there's a lot here to get you started. Just like we were talking about previously, that your users probably don't want to just look at a blank document and start building an account plan out from scratch. Neither do you. So while these are never just going to be 100% complete and customized for your team, think of this as a really great jumping off point where you have the ability to come in and customize for whatever makes the most sense. So if I click in here, let's use the example of rich opportunity notes. I can actually just click try template. And this will open up this template in my instance of Quip. So if you have Quip and you go to this website, it is going to create this template for you in your instance. So it makes it really easy to just dive in and get started. Okay, so we're in, this is a Quip template here that we're going to set up. Now you grab it from the Quip template library, but then of course you want to customize for your team. I talk to admins all the time who are in the process of moving something over from maybe a PowerPoint, or there are so many different documents that we're using for things like account plans or opportunity notes, and they're wanting to pull it into Quip. So the first thing that I highly recommend is using mail merge syntax. So you can use mail merge syntax as many times as you need throughout this document. And I always suggest, once you think it's finished, go through and read through one more time, get feedback from your end users and find out, is there something they're typing in again and again? It saves on spelling errors, it saves on time, and it just creates a really uniform looking experience. Everything is where it needs to be in the right order, etc. So just keep in mind with mail merge syntax, the brackets are necessary, capitalization is necessary, the period is necessary. So if you have formatting issues, of course, I know you all test things in your sandbox, etc. But if you're having issues pulling these in, that's the most common errors that I see, is there's just a little bit of a formatting error here or a spelling error or something like that. Okay, so next up is we have our live apps. So our Salesforce live apps, we have 3 different live apps. So we have a Salesforce record live app, a Salesforce report live app, and a Salesforce list live app. And we're going to talk about all of those today, but I want to highlight that there are 2 main ways that these live apps function. So one is I can go ahead and let me actually just show you how we pull these in. So the at mention is really powerful within the Quip tool. So I can just at mention here, start typing Salesforce, and I can see I want to pull in this case, let's start with our Salesforce record. So this is going to open this up. And if you have more than one org, you could make that selection here. And I'm going to, in this case, I can just pull in whatever record I want to. We'll stick with Tech Labs and we can select that. So this is going to pull in that Salesforce record information directly into this document. So if your end users have additional information in Salesforce, whether it's a record, report, or list that they want to pull into their documents, they have the ability to do that. It's not an admin only functionality. So they can pull this in. If they want to, one thing I've seen is that people are really enjoying is they have their one-on-one document or maybe their team meeting notes, and they're pulling in this live Salesforce data, oftentimes their reports, so that the team can kind of rally around where are we at in the quarter, et cetera. They know that data is live, and it makes it really easy, for example, in a team meeting note. So this is just standard. We're pulling the information in the live app. The other way, and what we saw in the demo earlier when it just automatically populated, I didn't have to go in and select that it was on Tech Labs. It knew I was on Tech Labs. And that's because I had it set up in template mode. So if I click up here on this little tag and we say template mode, here we have the ability to pull this in dynamically. So it's going to look at, and in this case, I would again need to use mail merge syntax. Actually here we're going to use this. This is not going to be pulling in on an account. I'm gonna do this for, our opportunity ID here. So whatever makes the most sense for the live app that you're looking at, but we're using mail merge syntax. It's going to dynamically populate on the record. So when, just like you saw, when I populated the account plan, it pulled in Tech Labs information. If I would have populated that on Haven Enterprises, it would have pulled in Haven Enterprises. So this is a really great way to save your team time. You don't need them to go through the manual process of finding that account. You can do that for them as the admin. Now, I'm actually going to pop over into our rich opportunity notes that I have already filled out, so I can just show you this for the for the sake of time that they're already filled out in template mode. So you can see here, very similar concept with our Salesforce list. So you just use the at mention to pull that in. You use this, I have this set up in template mode. You can see the little template here. And then I'm adding the record ID and related list. So one thing I'll note with Salesforce lists is if you're just pulling the Salesforce list directly into the document, not using template mode, you can pull in a list, a related list, et cetera, whatever makes the most sense. If you're pulling it in using template mode, you can only pull in related list types. So just make sure that you have that set up where with a related list type for whatever you're wanting to pull in. So that will dynamically populate and that will pull in our information. In this case, I'm pulling in whatever the opportunity team members are on the opportunity in which these rich opportunity notes populate. And then last up, we have our Salesforce report. So Salesforce lists and Salesforce reports, as you can see, I'm not creating reports here. I'm not creating lists. All of this is something that you've already done in Salesforce. So now I'm just bringing that information into Quip. So I'm just choosing from the reports and lists that I have already created. So that's just a distinction that I want to make. I wanted to show you this finalized in template mode. It doesn't look like much, but as we saw in our template, this will actually populate, and I'll show you on an opportunity as well with in this case, related opportunities. So the way that you would enter that in, we can go back to this one, and I'll just find kind of a blank space here where we can enter in the report. So if we go at Salesforce again, I want to pull in the report here. In this case, we would need to actually say, okay, new opportunities report, go next. And then the template mode is a little bit different. So I would have to have custom filters applied to this report in order for it to dynamically populate. So the standard filters are not a way that we can dynamically populate, but you can with our custom filters. So I can click this, go advanced, say reapply, and then here I can add in my mail merge syntax that will allow this to dynamically filter my report. Now, if I didn't want this to dynamically filter and I just wanted to pull in a report, I could just easily do so here. I don't need to make any edits. And then I have the option to either pull this in as live Salesforce data. So again, whenever, no matter where your end users are looking at this information, it's going to be live. And then we also can pull this in as a spreadsheet. So maybe you want a snapshot end of Q1, what did this data look like? What was on this report? And then you want to pull it in at the end of Q2 again as a spreadsheet. So that would just be static information. Now, one other thing that I will say, and let's see if my home internet can handle loading this up, but what's also neat about this is you have the ability to change and format like you would with a spreadsheet. So this is not doing anything back into Salesforce. I can make edits, change colors, kind of make this more visually appealing if I want to as a user. Okay, so a couple of things to call out before we move on from templates. Now, let me go and actually populate this so you can see Salesforce, or I'll do a record here. And I want to actually show you this for a couple of different reasons. So number one, and again, I'll just stick with Tech Labs here, is there are a few things that you can do with our Salesforce record that are really powerful. So maybe I'm an end user, I'm on a call. I can come in here, maybe this account changes from mid-market to enterprise. I can make that selection. This means that it's kind of in draft mode, and then I can actually sync that data back to Salesforce. So if I am on an account record and I want to sync this back, I can actually save this and move it into Salesforce. Now, I bet your alarm bells are all going off saying, what about people? You said people can access this document that don't have access to Salesforce. This sounds like a security nightmare. Don't worry. This is synced up with your privileges in Salesforce. So if I have access to make changes to the account lab account type in Salesforce, then I can sync this back to Salesforce. If I do not have access to edit this information, I cannot make this change and sync it back to Salesforce. So whatever my privileges are in Salesforce, they remain true here. However, it makes it so much easier if I'm on a call and I want to make a quick change, maybe it's an added phone number, etc. I can do that straight from here, and I didn't have to dive into Salesforce, find Tech Labs, etc. I can just sync that back. The other really neat thing here is you have the ability to actually make a comment. So if I want to comment on this, I can get my little comment bubble here, let me give this a little refresh. I think my internet is just it's not awake. We're on West Coast time here. Okay, so we'll get our comment here, and maybe I want to ask someone a question. So just like we were asking Cindy before, we can have that granular conversation, and maybe I say, can you update this to enterprise, etc. And it will bring her, in this case, I would want it to do that right onto the enterprise. It would bring her directly back here. So if I know someone else has access and I want them to make a change, again, you can have that really granular conversation. And then if I want to save this back to Salesforce, I just click this Save to Salesforce, and this will sync directly back into the Salesforce platform. Okay, so I'm going to pause here, and it looks like we have a couple more questions. Okay, in addition, if Cindy doesn't have a Salesforce license, but a Quip user can view the Salesforce data on the document. So yes, just to reiterate that, if anyone viewing this document, if they have access to the Quip and they can view this document, they do not need access to Salesforce to see this information. So this will be visible to everyone on the page, regardless of if they have Salesforce access. The difference is you can't pull in information you don't have access to. You can't make edits to information you don't have access to. You can't sync information back to Salesforce that you don't have access to. So the data integrity, it remains true. So you don't have to worry about people making changes to that Salesforce data that don't have access. but they can view it, and that is by design. Okay, and then the next step is any limit on total number of documents or size per document that you can store in Quip, any performance implication. So the document, one thing that's interesting about Quip is what we find people often do is rather than, for example, create a new account plan every year, they just either have a living, breathing document and they just make updates and have that currently be something that they're iterating on. But they also will just push it down at the bottom and have a really long document. So one thing I'll show you is, and this had popped out before, when you are using these headings, so you can see my opportunity information is I'm using a medium heading here, that this actually automatically creates this outline. So if you had rich opportunity years from 2020, 2019, 2018 that were related to this account, you could easily just navigate. And this is something that's very clickable, so I can kind of move through here very easily. So to answer your question, no, there's no limit to the size of the document. You can pull in, we can pull in whatever, you create as large of a document as you want. I will say there are some performance implications when it comes to pulling in reports as far as kind of load times. If you're pulling in Salesforce reports that are really, really huge, that's where I've seen people, it can obviously, and now many of us around the world are oftentimes working from home now. So that can obviously, your internet can affect that as well. But I have seen really, really large spreadsheets run into a little bit of performance implications, and you do have the ability to create spreadsheets straight from here. So that's one thing I would say. But as far as documents, no, this can be as large as you need, and you can have as many documents as you need attached to the Salesforce, attached in Salesforce on that associated document component. Okay, so if we dive back here, the next thing we're going to talk about is process and flow builder. So would love to get an idea from the folks on the line how comfortable you all are already with process and flow builder. Usually I have people that are kind of across the board. And it looks like we already have a Flow Builder Pro, which is excellent. Both awesome. Process Builder, great. So it looks like we have a mix here. And for those of you who feel comfortable with flow, process, or both, you are in luck. This will make your life so much easier when it comes to automating with Quip within Customer 360. There are a lot of powerful things that you can actually do with process and flow associated with Quip. So let's take a look at what some of those are. So the first thing is the really nice thing, and you all are, I see a lot of C's coming through, so it's a group that feels comfortable with both. You have the ability to really iterate. So sitting down with your team, coming up with the automation that makes sense, and then you can, process and flow builder is really designed as a building block. So if you come up with one other little tweak that you want to make, it's really easy for you to do so. You don't necessarily have to start from scratch. Now, there are 16 Quip actions that are available in both Process Builder and Flow Builder. So the same 16 Quip actions, and they are things like send a message in a Quip chat. They are add a Quip document to a folder, add members to a document, copy Quip content, create a Quip folder, create a Quip document. So there's so much that you can do for your team. Again, them doing less clicking, the more you control, the more that they don't have a choice in what the process is, that they just get used to, gosh, Quip for Customer 360, it just does it all for me. Now, as I mentioned, the 16 Quip actions work in Process and Flow Builder. The difference, and as I'm sure, as I see so many C's coming through that is there's just a completely different functionality in the actions from a Salesforce perspective and what you can do in Process and Flow Builder. So what we find people using Process Builder for is really that more simple automation. You're triggering flows from record changes, and then Flow Builder is more complex screen flows. We really commonly see actually a combination of the two, where you're using Process Builder to trigger automation at a stage change, for example, and then you're using Flow to build out the rest of that automation because it's functionality that you can't actually do in Process Builder. So it seems like we already have some professional flow builders on the line, but we do have some trails that we recommend if you're still getting up to speed there, and we have some step-by-step instructions on some of our common automation. So I want to actually dive into Salesforce and give you an idea of what a process and flow builder automation might look like. This is something that we see as really common. So for I'm on an opportunity here, you can see this component looks like it's set up a little bit different. That's because I've set it up differently for process and or flow builder. I was ready for automation. And what we can do is, if I'm the end user and I change this stage to proposal quote, a few things are going to be happening automatically here. So the first thing is we are going to automatically populate this template. So before I clicked that button, I'm not going to have to click that button. It's just going to happen automatically. So this helps signal to your users, when I get to this stage, I need to complete this mutual close plan. This is where we start this. I didn't have to press the button. It populates for me. I know I need to do something. So we can see this populating. I'll expand this out so we can take a closer look at the additional automation. So in addition to that, it was automatically added to a folder. So now all 51 people are shared. I can see that this lives in my mutual close plans for enterprise. It makes it very easy to find. It's shared with the right people. And again, you don't want to rely on your end users to make these changes. Just do it for them. And then we have an @everyone here. So this is our sending a notification. Everyone gets this notification. Time to take action. You need to complete this mutual close plan. The stage has changed. So again, you can see quite a few things have happened. And all I did was change the stage. So for the end user's perspective, it's something that they really, really appreciate. The second common, now this is probably the easiest for those of you who don't yet feel comfortable in Flow, Process Builder. This one is super simple to set up. I have done many myself. I can attest to it. But this one is really common, just moving a document into a folder when the document is created. And we saw that earlier, but we can see it again here. If I click new document from template, this will automatically just add the document from a template. And this is just using Process Builder, a really simple process that's automatically going to pull that in. So we can see that it will be added to our folder and shared with the right people. So if I expand this out, it's in the rich opportunity notes. So it just creates a really good organizational structure and hierarchy for your team. And then I can share that out here. Okay, so I want to quickly talk through our Quip use cases and how are people actually using this. Now, first of all, like I mentioned, Sales Cloud, Marketing Cloud, Service Cloud, so whatever makes the most sense, all of that functionality, the live apps, etc., this is something that you can use on all of these clouds. One thing that we've already been talking about is account planning. So account planning in Quip really allows you to drive pipeline and revenue with actionable data-driven account plans. And so with the switch we're seeing people make here is it's not once a year a static document, you send it off and you never look at it again. It lives on the account page, it's ever growing and moving. Next up is rich opportunity notes. So you can stop capturing that key information, and I hear this all the time in emails, handwritten notes, instead capture it in context and avoid information silos by really capturing those notes in Quip, and they're shared inside of Salesforce. And you'll notice here we have our mobile app, which allows you to take these notes on the go, and that will be directly syncing back to Salesforce if it's already on that page. So maybe I am on a call, back when we go back to the normal world, I'm on a call in an Uber and I'm taking notes. This is going to be syncing back to Salesforce. Next up is collaborative close plans. So also maybe known as a mutual close plan. It outlines the milestones and time-sensitive actions items for both the seller and buyer teams. And one other thing that I want to call out here is you can have it set where you can share these documents externally. So I can share Quip documents with a customer and they can come in and take action as well. So that's something to consider. And then next up is our service use case. You can, of course, use this for many different use cases on service, but we've seen it's really makes a lot of sense on case swarms. It helps support teams close those tough cases without the disconnect of email and chat threads. So you have the ability to really have the conversation like we saw on that document, and that lives in Salesforce, so preventing that data from being lost. Okay, so we've got 10 minutes left. I saw a couple of other questions, and then I'll walk you through some resources. So if you had any questions along the way, keep putting those in, and I'll walk you through some resources and actually something brand new, a little bit of a sneak peek on a managed package that we have that's coming out on Monday, but I think it's fine if I show you today on Saturday. So, oh, all right, so it looks like we got a little bit of an ask and answer. So, they are, yes, Quip documents are stored within Quip. So if we go into, I'll actually just dive into Quip and show you this really quickly. We have a foldering system here. So there's a structure here. If I can have my sales folder with all my account plans, rich opportunity notes, mutual close documents, etc. So of course you can add the components onto whatever objects you want, and that could be the associated document component or the Quip document component, that larger component, but the documents themselves are stored within the Quip platform. So yeah, good question there. Okay, so let me first, another question. When documents are shared with a customer, does the customer also need to have a Quip license? So it's an interesting setup. So not exactly, no. They have to create an account, which is they basically just have to add their email and create a password. But Quip has the ability, if you're not, to use it within Salesforce, to use it as a huge org, you need to have these licensed. But if you just want to share the document with someone outside of your organization, they would be able to just create a quick account. They would be an external user, so they wouldn't have access to all of your other documents. Like they wouldn't be able to view your folder structure or anything like that. They would just have access to that one document, and they could go ahead and collaborate with you straight from there. So, oh yes, can we integrate one Quip account with 2 Salesforce orgs? Yes, you can. And so what you'll see is when where am I looking here? So we can manage our Salesforce orgs. I only have one connected here, but you have the ability to connect more, and you can manage what data you're pulling them in from. So yes, you can absolutely have one Quip account and more than one Salesforce org, and many of our customers have that set up. So that's a really great question. So keep those questions coming. I am going to actually share a Quip document with all of you. You'll notice I have this set up where my link settings are set up where anyone, even outside of Quip or Salesforce, can view this document. So you won't be able to make changes, but you'll be able to view it. And this really has, I'll send this link in here. This really has everything we talked about here. So you can join more of our live trainings, but we have our integration set up, adding the Quip Lightning components. We have some trails around Quip, so I encourage you to check it out in Trailhead. The Administer Quip for Customer 360 is a really good one to get started. And then our templates, those trails I was mentioning, if you're wanting to get up to speed on process or flow, we've got here. And yeah, then we have a lot of specific content that's built out for our admins directly. We even have an academy that focuses, it's a 2-day academy that really gets you fully up to speed on Quip for Customer 360. That is free for Salesforce admins to join. So you, as a customer, would be able to join that as well. So we can just see there's a lot going on here. The other thing I really want to call out, and I don't know, I'm sure many of you are part of lots of communities, but I highly recommend becoming part of our Salesforce community. This is a great place to talk with your peers, get feedback. You aren't the only one, wondering. You can see I was even in here answering questions. We've got a lot of our product folks that come in here as well. So if you want a direct line to our product team, to our product experts, this is a really great place to be, and to your peers. And back to your question, yeah, I'm not aware of any limit on the number of orgs that you can have connected. So that should work out for whatever your setup is. Now, since we have 4 minutes left, I want to show you a brand new, you're actually the first folks that I've shown this to, so bear with me here. I'm really excited about this. So we walked through a lot of features, but we just are launching on Monday the Quip Setup Starter. So this is a managed package. And what it does is it actually, and I don't know why, there we go, is it will do some of this setup for you. So you can, it gives you a checklist to connect, but then you have the ability to add that account plan. It will add an account plan, add the template, do this process, add the component for you. You don't have to do it in the Lightning App Builder. Same with opportunity notes. You can add whatever custom document to whatever object you want. So you can get really customized here, but again, not have to do that manual work yourself. And then same thing with automation. So you have the ability to move your documents into folders, send notifications on documents. So if you just wanted to try this out, we have a version for your sandbox as well. So if you wanted to play around with this, then you could do that here. And then the last step is you can set up a live deal feed, which is a really interesting way to kind of keep your team rallied around deals. So you can send live alerts to a Quip document for actions that are happening within Salesforce. Okay, so a couple of questions here. Let me see. Okay, so this is available. Yep, this is available. So yeah, you can use all of this now. This is all live. And then, so is Quip a native app for Salesforce? And can Quip integrate with GIT or other versioning tools? So
Okay,
Quip has, yeah, go for it.
Somebody pinged me and asked a question, so I hope that should be answered here. So somebody asked like how to configure Quip into the Salesforce. So it's a managed package which we need to install, or what is the process to get the Quip inside the Salesforce? He's saying that he already using the Quip from the long time, but he don't know how to integrate Quip into the Salesforce.
Yes. Okay, great question. So to connect Quip to Salesforce, we have our checklist here essentially, and you basically just have to do this quick integration process. So it doesn't live natively within Salesforce. You have to do this and get this green check mark, make sure that they're connected. So that's the first step. I will also mention, if you're using Quip before, and I am not in sales and I don't have the answers to any questions around like licensing costs or anything like that, but it is a particular type of license to be using Quip within Salesforce versus just using it for general collaboration. So I would check with whoever your contact is there. They can clarify with you what you have.
So Quip is by default available, or we needed to install a managed package from the App Exchange?
No, you don't need to use the managed package. The managed package is just to help you get the component set up and the automation set up. Quip, you just integrate, you just integrate with this checklist. So you just have to go through and connect the two. And I feel like there was another part to that question. Can Quip? So one thing is that there is, and let me see if I can pull this up, as far as integrating with other tools, it looks like I don't have it open here, is we do have our Quip API. So with our live apps, which is when I was talking about that pulling in live Salesforce information, you can actually pull in, create your own live apps with whatever data source you want using our API. So I can send this through the chat. We are at the end of time, so I don't have time to walk through that in much detail. But if you want to get some more information about our API and what people are doing with that, this would be a really great resource. And yeah, okay, I think that's it. Were there any other questions, anything that hasn't been answered before we jump into our weekend?
Thank you so much, Story. It's really helpful session, and I hope our audience also enjoyed it. And we will share the recording on our Apex Hour YouTube channel soon.
Excellent. Well, thank you all. Have a great rest of your day, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the excellent questions. All right. Have a good one, everyone, and I hope to see you on one of our other sessions soon. There were a lot that I threw in there, so thank you.
Thank you, everyone. See you in the next section on the MuleSoft. Bye-bye. Have a good day.